I just have to get better at this life thing because I think I've been doing it wrong all this time. Everyone can and probably has experienced some level of anxiety in their lives or an anxious reaction to a certain situation that they experienced. It's completely normal. Everyone gets anxious sometimes, and that's fine. I'm not here to self diagnose, I have a therapist for that. But I basically made this video to kind of talk about and try to figure out like what on earth is going on with me. I'm a generally very anxious person, very anxious to a point where it cripples me. I can't do anything. It affects me physically, emotionally, mentally. I just stop and I freeze. Most of the time, when I'm faced with a fight or flight situation, I'll fight, but in some situations where I feel very anxious and stressed, I just get crippled, I freeze, I just do nothing. I can't do anything. And it's a perpetual feeling, like it's always there. It comes and it goes. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's easier, but it's always there about everything and with everything and anything. And whenever I try to think about where that might have come from or what that's all about, I always come up short. I was raised in a very good environment, I have the best family. I was raised very well. I did well in school, everything was fine. I don't think I necessarily went through any sort of traumatic incidents in life, maybe here and there, but I wouldn't say anything that had some major effects on me and my life. Um, Sometimes I think about how I am black, I'm a woman, I'm a small woman as well. And so a lot about me could be considered a minority. And sometimes I wonder if maybe somehow I tend to recognize those things and internalize them and think of myself as a minority or as inferior because of that. Like, it's kind of hard to think about some of the things I say to myself sometimes. It's some things I've never heard anyone say to me. It's some things I've never even heard anyone say to someone else. So I don't even know where I get these things from, but I tend to say some of the worst things to myself and about myself, and I struggle to figure out where I even get that from. I mean, psychologically speaking, there are certain factors that can influence these kinds of things, biological factors and so forth, and other demographical factors, I suppose. So I also wanted to look into that. There was a study that was published in 2022 in South Africa that wanted to look into the types of demographical factors that could influence someone's probability of experiencing depression or anxiety disorders in their adulthood. So I looked into that as well. I made some notes. So to summarize some of the results, it was found that in the Northern Cape, they reported the highest probability anxiety percentage at 29.3%, and KZN was on the opposite side with the lowest probable anxiety rate at 8.6%. They also looked at other factors in terms of marital status. The highest prevalence of anxiety was 20.4%, and those were among respondents who were widowed, divorced, or separated, which makes kind of sense. In terms of employment data, the highest prevalence was at 21.9% for those who reported being unemployed. In the age category, the highest prevalence was among those 65 and older at 22.6%, and 19.7% of the respondents who lived in a metropolitan area, so like a city, they also recorded the highest probable anxiety in that category. And in terms of education, 20.4% of the respondents who recorded the highest probability of anxiety had only completed primary school. I mean, I can agree with the metropolitan area thing. I hate the city. I hate it with my entire heart. I get it, that's where everything is, but that's the problem. That's the problem with the city. So I think I'm gonna retire somewhere on a farm or on a mountain, somewhere where no one comes to me. They only come to me when I allow them to and give them permission. The study obviously also did look at childhood experiences, and as to be expected, they did find that the higher someone had adverse childhood experiences in their younger years, they were more probable or more likely to experience anxiety or depression disorders in their adulthood. And I saw myself in some of those statistics. I mean, I am also a product of my own circumstances, as we all are. There are some things that are there that I can't change, that are just a part of me. Not to say that people can't change their circumstances, you can, but there are some things where they come with you and they stay with you. And looking at myself personally, I think I've done quite well in my life. I think I've achieved a lot more than I think I probably would have maybe at my age. Um, but I still feel like I'm not doing enough. um, every every single mistake that I make, it literally cripples me. I'm like, I failed. I feel like a failure. And yet, on the other hand, all of my successes feel like, it's just a thing. You were supposed to do that. You did what you were supposed to do. Um, I let my failures cripple me, but I, for some reason, can never let my successes lift me up or encourage me or motivate me. I don't know what I'm expecting to encourage me, if not myself, but that's something that tends to happen quite often, and that contributes a lot to my anxiety and my sometimes feeling depressed. I wondered if maybe this might have been an ego thing. I mean, I clearly do need to get over myself, right? I do struggle a lot with self-esteem, low self-esteem. I experience bouts of guilt and shame and those kinds of negative feelings about myself a lot more often than I feel um, pride and joy and what other good things do people feel? Those things, I tend to feel and experience those a lot less than I think I should. So my mom tells me a story all the time about how when I was younger, maybe in preschool, I there was a point in time, I think it was a graduation or something, when I was singing for people on stage. I was singing a song, and apparently I did very well. I have no memory of this whatsoever, absolutely not. But I have vague images of it, and I don't know if it's because my mom talks about it a lot or if it's my memory or not. But I don't remember doing this. Even now, I can't imagine myself doing that. Like me, little old me. So I tend to think about that a lot. Like, what happened to that kid who could do that? Like, what happened to me? Another thing could be the whole social media thing. Like, we're one of those generations that grew up in. I mean, I didn't grow up with social media. I think when I was maybe in grade 7, 8, Mixit was dying down a bit. We were getting into WhatsApp. Um, I've never been on Facebook. I've never been much of a social media person, but I think generally that's also something that has kind of thwarted our ability to talk to people and be normal and understand social cues and understand society as a whole. That might be a thing. I don't know. But again, we're not here to self-diagnose. But anyway, I think that's kind of the video, that I kind of wanted to make some sort of promise and give myself an ultimatum. I don't know if that counts as an ultimatum, but just to say, next steps from here, we are just gonna try and be better the next day. Just be better at things through small, manageable steps. I'm still going to therapy. I think I'm only now starting to realize that there's stuff I need to heal from and move away from and fix. So, small, manageable steps at fixing those kinds of things. I need to be kinder to myself. That's a very big thing. I need to be kinder to myself, and I need to be able to let things happen without feeling like it's the end of the world. I need to stop catastrophizing things, because every other time I have evidence of this. Every other time that something happened and I thought that it was the end of the world, it wasn't the end of the world, because I'm still here, unfortunately. So I need to stop catastrophizing, and I need to have more confidence in myself, because for some reason I dislike myself more than anyone. Like, people like me, but I don't like me for some reason. I say some mean things to myself. Um, so that's kind of an ultimatum that I'm giving to myself, and gonna put that on YouTube for everyone to see. Because honestly, if I can't do that for myself, then no one else can. Literally no one else. No one else can really love me more than I love myself. And that's kind of the scary bit. Anyway, I just have to get better at this life thing. I guess it's the saying, life begins when you're 30. I'm not 30, but I just have to get better at this life thing, because I think I've been doing it wrong all this time. So yeah, that's that. Thank you for watching my video. Hope you have a good day, whatever time of day it is, and I'll see you next time.